I'm 92 years old, and if I could sit across from my 55-year-old self right now, I wouldn't talk about regrets first. I would talk about time, because the one thing I thought I had plenty of was the one thing I was quietly running out of. You don't feel it in your 50s. You still think, I've got another 20, maybe 30 good years. You think there's still time to fix things, grow wealth, take risks later. But let me tell you something that only age teaches you. Time doesn't move in years. It moves in speed. And after 60, it starts running. I made money. I lost money. I rebuilt. I got comfortable, and then I got careless. And now, standing at 92, I see clearly what actually mattered. And what quietly cost me everything, I didn't even realize I was losing. If you're in your 50s or 60s, what I'm about to share might not feel urgent, but one day it will feel painfully obvious. I wish I understood that comfort is the most expensive lifestyle you can afford. In my late 50s, I finally reached a point where things felt stable. Bills were paid. Income was steady. I wasn't rich, but I wasn't struggling either. And I told myself, this is enough. That word, enough. It sounds peaceful, but for me, it became a ceiling. I stopped pushing. I stopped learning. I stopped taking smart risks. I traded growth for comfort. And comfort slowly turned into stagnation. Money doesn't disappear overnight. It fades when you stop paying attention. Inflation rises quietly. Opportunities pass silently. And before you realize it, your enough becomes barely enough. I wish I had stayed hungry. Not desperate, but curious. Curious about new ways to grow money. Curious about investing smarter. Curious about building something that could outlive my effort. Because here's the truth. If your income depends on your energy, your body becomes your biggest financial risk. I learned that too late. There was a time when I believed working hard was the answer to everything. I worked longer hours, took on more responsibility, and told myself, I'll rest later. But later came, and my energy didn't come with it. Your 50s and 60s are not the time to rely on hard work alone. They are the time to rely on systems, investments, assets, things that work even when you don't. I spent years earning money, but not enough time making money work for me. And that mistake is quiet, but dangerous. I wish I understood that saving money is not the same as building wealth. I saved carefully. I avoided unnecessary expenses. I felt responsible. But I kept too much money sitting still, safe, but not growing. Money that doesn't grow slowly loses power. And I didn't feel it at first. But years later, I saw it clearly. The same amount of money bought less, did less, meant less. I was protecting my money, but I wasn't growing it. If I could go back, I wouldn't just save, I would invest with intention. Not blindly, not emotionally, but consistently. Because time rewards consistency more than intelligence. I wasn't late to investing. I was inconsistent. Sometimes I would invest. Sometimes I would pull out. Sometimes I would wait for the perfect time. And that perfect time never came. The market moves. Opportunities come and go. But consistency, that's what builds real wealth. I wish I understood that fear looks like logic when you're older. In my 60s, I became more cautious. And that sounds wise, but it slowly turned into fear. I started saying no to things I didn't fully understand. I avoided opportunities because they felt uncertain. And I told myself I'm being smart. But looking back, I wasn't being smart. I was being scared. There's a difference. Smart decisions are informed. Fearful decisions are protective. And protection when overused keeps you small. I missed opportunities not because they were bad, but because they were unfamiliar. And unfamiliar things often hold the biggest growth. I wish I understood that your circle shapes your financial future more than your skills. In my 50s, I had friends who were comfortable, just like me. We talked about expenses, bills, small investments, but we rarely talked about bigger ideas, bigger risks, bigger possibilities. And over time, your environment becomes your limit. When you're surrounded by people who play small, you don't even realize you're doing the same. I wish I had spent more time around people who thought differently, who challenged me, who made me uncomfortable in a good way. Because growth doesn't come from agreement. It comes from exposure. I wish I understood that debt is not always the enemy, but ignorance is. I avoided debt most of my life. I was proud of it. But in doing that, I also avoided leverage. I avoided opportunities that required calculated risk. Not all debt is bad. Bad debt traps you. Smart debt can build you. But the real problem wasn't debt. It was my lack of understanding. I didn't educate myself enough about how money really works. I relied on what I already knew, instead of learning what I needed to know. And that cost me years of potential growth. I wish I understood that retirement is not a number, It's a lifestyle. I spent years thinking about a number. If I reach this amount, I'll be fine. But I never truly thought about how I wanted to live, what my daily life would look like, what kind of freedom I actually wanted. And when I finally slowed down, I realized something uncomfortable. I had prepared for survival, not for living. Money is not just about security. It's about options, freedom, time. And if you don't design that early, you end up adjusting to whatever you have instead of creating what you want. I wish I understood that small financial habits compound, but so do small financial mistakes. Skipping investments, delaying decisions, ignoring opportunities. These things don't feel big in the moment, but over years they build. Not dramatically, but silently. And silence is what makes it dangerous, because you don't feel the loss until it's already done. I wish I understood that health and money are deeply connected. There were years when I ignored my health to focus on work. I told myself I was building a better future. But what I didn't realize was that poor health limits your ability to enjoy the wealth you build, and sometimes even your ability to manage it. Medical costs rise, energy drops, focus weakens, and suddenly the money you worked so hard for starts working against you. If I could go back, I would treat health as an investment, not an afterthought, because without it, everything becomes harder. I wish I understood that time with people you love is not separate from wealth. It is wealth. I spent too many years thinking I would make up for it later. More time with family, more moments, more presence. But life doesn't wait for your schedule. Some moments don't come back, and no amount of money can buy them once they're gone. Balance is not something you find at the end. It's something you build along the way. And finally, the biggest lesson of all, I wish I understood that it's never really about money. It's about control. Control over your time, your choices, your life. Money is just the tool. And if you don't learn how to use that tool intentionally, you spend your life reacting instead of deciding. At 92, I don't look back and think, I should have made more money. I think I should have made better decisions with the time I had, because money can be rebuilt. Lost wealth can return, but lost time never does. So if you're in your 50s or 60s right now, this is not the end of your financial story. This is the most important chapter. You still have time, but not as much as you think. Start learning again. Start investing consistently. Start thinking bigger. Start protecting your time like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel ready. I did that, and readiness never came. Clarity comes from action, and the sooner you act, the more your future self will thank you for it, because one day, you will sit where I am sitting now, looking back. And the question won't be how much money you made. It will be, did you use your time wisely? Make sure your answer is yes.